Hi, Kieran here again. I'm just going to continue on the theme I started in the previous video, which is arguing for utilitarianism against an egalitarian view. Basically, I'm saying that only pleasure counts and the distribution of it doesn't count morally. I won't repeat the things I said in the previous video. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is cast a bit of doubt on egalitarianism or any egalitarian consideration by way of two examples that I've thought of. Okay, the first example, which is actually similar to the sort of stuff that the philosopher Derek Parfit talks about, especially in his book Reasons and Persons. Okay, in this example, there's a divided world where there are two communities that don't have any contact or possibility of contact with one another. Let's say they're miles apart. They're in different galaxies or whatever. By the time the light gets from one to the other, they'll be both dead. So, okay, let's imagine a scenario where, for some bizarre reason, on odd days, community A are all happy and community B are all sad, and then on even days it's the other way around. So happiness keeps flipping day by day from one to the other, and for some bizarre reason, let's say that's the case. There's no causal link between the two. It just happens that they have both communities are happy on every other day, and it's out of sync. Okay, so that's one scenario. Imagine another possible situation where this is exactly the same scenario I just described, except the two communities are in sync. On the same day they're both happy, then the following day they're unhappy, then the following day they're happy again, both of them. Now, surely the egalitarian has to say, or consequentialist egalitarian has to say that the out of sync scenario is worse like morally than the in sync scenario, because at every given moment the universe, the world is an unequal, it's an inegalitarian world. So okay, I think that's a bit ridiculous, because as far as all the people in the world concerned, it doesn't matter which scenario you're in. They have no idea whether they're in sync or out of sync. They don't even know the other people who exist. So it doesn't affect anybody who lives in this scenario, in these scenarios, which scenario they're in. So the equality itself surely can't matter. That's what I feel about it anyway. Okay. So the egalitarian here in that one would perhaps say, okay, it isn't about equality, does count, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be at this simultaneous kind of moment. It's equality, but inequality can still be bad if there's a difference in time between the two communities or whatever. So if they say that, I'll give them another scenario which I think casts doubt on that view. Okay, this is a little bit more complicated, but imagine there's a community that existed years ago who were moderately happy. Okay, now cut to the present. They existed for a while. They were moderately happy, and then they disappeared. They all died. Okay, right. Let's say there's a new community now, and this community has just come into existence somehow, like fully formed, and they have a weird choice that no community in the real world would ever be given. But anyway, let's say for somehow they have the choice of either flipping a coin or not, and if they flip the coin, if it comes up heads, they'll be very happy for as long as the community lasts. And it's pretty simple to think of it that the community will sort of exist for a finite amount of time, like the previous one. Okay, so if they flip heads, they'll be very happy, and if they flip tails, they'll be neither happy nor sad. It'll be just kind of feeling sort of neutral. And if they don't flip the coin, they will be moderately happy, which is what the other community was like. Now let's say they think about it and they decide, for whatever reason, according to them, it's only just about worth flipping a coin. It's worth flipping a coin, but there's hardly anything in it. It's like, yeah, it is worth flipping the coin, they think, but even if they heard anything they didn't know before that was bad about flipping it, like they heard the even community would last like 1 day less. If they flipped it, they'd be probably switch their opinion. So they're very slightly favouring flipping the coin. Then somebody tells them somehow, there was this community, another community like ours years ago, that died out, and they were moderately happy. Let's say they didn't know about this before. Then they should, according to the egalitarian, they ought to change their opinion now, because the universe, if they flip the coin, will, whichever way the coin goes, will be less equal if they flip the coin than if they don't flip the coin. So that's a reason, extra reason, moral reason to not flip the coin. So they should change their opinion. I'd say the egalitarian should say. Because of this news that this community years ago was moderately happy. Now, I think this is, I think it's an implausible thing to say. I think that it shouldn't matter. Nothing to do with that community years ago should matter. They should base the flipping the coin, the decision to flip the coin or not, entirely on who's the people, how the people are affected by the flipping of the coin. And the people who lived years ago, I'd say, are kind of sunk cost. You know, it shouldn't matter. It's all in the past. They're all dead now. It doesn't matter whether they were happy, sad, whatever. The decision of whether to flip the coin or not, I think, should be the same. But I think the egalitarian is forced to say that it does matter, and you know, because they if they think of equality, you know, if they accept the first example with that is not a simultaneous thing. If equality across time matters, then they should, I think, come to this implausible conclusion that it does matter, that they shouldn't flip the coin now because of that news that these people existed before. Okay, anyway, I hope that's it's interesting or ideally convincing to some of you. Thank you very much.